Is session or every Saturday we meet to discuss a chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam. So today is auspicious Gopashtami. Today is the day when Lord Krishna started rendering cows. So Krishna and Balaram, before that, he was, only taking care of calves. But from this day, Krishna started. Today is very auspicious day. In Krishna Vedas, every day is auspicious. So,
Hare Krishna. Sorry to interrupt you, Prabhuji.
mhm.
Your voice is little less audible. Is it a problem with me or for others also? I don't know.
I don't know what others can
Fine
confirm.
for me.
Sorry, it's okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's very clear.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, ठीक है. So today we are going to discuss second canto, 9th chapter, and the class is being taken by Shankapani Prabhu, I guess.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Shankapani Prabhu.
Hare
So
Bol, Hare
you can
Krishna.
take over from here, Prabhu.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Bol. So we'll start with our offerings to Guru and Krishna, and then we'll start with our discussion. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanaatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यस्य कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिन्यत नाम्ने नमः आचार्यपादाय निताय कृपाप्रदायने गौरकतारामदाय रामताने Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to our weekly Bhagavatam class. As Srimad Prabhu was mentioning, today is a very auspicious day, but every day is auspicious in Krishna consciousness, like Prabhu was saying, especially if we are hearing the pastimes of the Lord, which is Shravana Mangalam. Hearing about, doing Shravanam about the Lord's activities and the Lord's pastimes is very Mangal, it's very auspicious. So we have another such auspicious opportunities to discuss about the pastimes of the Lord from Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm very, very fortunate and blessed to have this opportunity to serve all of you today. So I sincerely request and beg all the Vaishnavas assembled here to kindly pray for me and please bless me so that I may serve all of you in the right mood and spirit. So with that, we'll get started with our discussion for today. So we are discussing from the second canto, 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is it is like the core of Srimad Bhagavatam. The seed of Srimad Bhagavatam is in this chapter. So why is that and how that happens, we'll see in a bit. But I'll just sort of rewind a little bit and just so that we are reminded of the context, what brought us to this point, right? Second canto, 9 chapter. So I'll just go back and summarize what we have done, what we have seen so far. So the first canto ends with Parikshit Maharaj's questions, and second canto begins with the answers to those questions. And they are very prominent questions, which, although are applicable to Parikshit Maharaj, but they are very much applicable to the broader society as well. So Parikshit Maharaj asks questions like, what is the duty of a person, of a human being, and what is the duty of a person who's about to leave his body, and some of these very prominent questions. And Sukadev Goswami answers all of them by saying, Harer Namanu Kirtanam, the sole duty, the highest responsibility, parodharma, is to constantly chant the holy names of the Lord at all times, whether we are alive, we are about to die, whatever, right? At all times, to take shelter of the holy name of the Lord. And the process of bhakti is the supreme duty of all humans, right? So then we saw from the first chapter to the third chapter, Sukadev Goswami established the supremacy of bhakti. He glorified bhakti in the beginning of the second canto. And just to compare how bhakti is so glorious, he touches upon Ashtanga Yoga also, right? He talks about the different realizations of the Lord, right? Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam igyanam avyayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. There are three realizations of the Lord, right? Brahman realization, which is impersonal, then the Paramatma realization, right? And then the Bhagavan realization, which is the highest, right? So Sukadev Goswami touches a little bit about all of them. He tells that an attached Ashtanga yogi, that Ashtanga yogi who is very, very austere, very sincere, but still attached to materialistic desires, will meditate on the Virata Rupa form of the Lord, the universal form, right? And eventually merges into the Brahman. But the Ashtanga yogi who is detached will meditate on the Paramatma form of the Lord, right? But a bhakta, a devotee of the Lord, will meditate on the Bhagavan, right? On the personal form of the Lord, and will eternally have that desire to be a loving servant of the Lord at all times, right? So then Sukadev Goswami establishes these three, and while talking about Ashtanga Yoga, he again establishes the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga, and he tells, irrespective of what yoga people are doing, what sort of desires we have, right? Irrespective of all of that, taking shelter of the Supreme Lord in a mood of devotion is like a mandatory thing, right? He says, Akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaravi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purushaparam. That whether because the sages who had assembled there in that assembly, right, they were not just bhakti yogis. There were sages who had inclination towards jnana, karma, ashtanga, and many other paths also, right? So, and even in this world we see there are people with all sorts of spiritual inclinations. So Sukhdev Goswami is very firmly establishing that whether it is akama, we are free of material desires, or sarva kamova, our heart is filled with all the material desires, or moksha kama udarabi, or our only desire is to get out of this material world, to get liberated. The only solution is tivrena bhakti yogena, intense devotion unto yajeta purushaparam, that supreme personality of Godhead. Personality, right? Not impersonal. So this is how Sukadev Goswami establishes in the first three chapters. Then fourth chapter, Sukadev Goswami offers his heartfelt prayers to the Lord, and then Parikshit Maharaj requests Sukadev Goswami to talk more about the Lord's activities, especially about how Lord engages with his external potency to create this material world. So Sukadev Goswami expressed the desire to hear more about this. And then to answer this question, to explain how Lord creates this material world, Sukadev Goswami talks about the conversation between Brahma and Narada, where Narada asks 6 questions to Brahma, and Brahma starts explaining to Narada about how this universe is created, how Krishna is the supreme, original supreme person, Adi Purusha, and from there Balaram is the first expansion, and then the Chaturvyuha, and then Narayana, and then the second Chaturvyuha, and then the Purusha avatars, right? Mahavishnu, who is Karnodaksaya Vishnu, and then Garbhodaksaya Vishnu and Kshirodaksaya Vishnu. He explains about all these three, and then Brahma explains how the Mahavishnu, he glances upon this material universe, which is the Prakriti, and through his glance, he impregnates jivas into this material world, along with their karma, which is the fruitive baggage that they have, and swabhava, which is their inclination and how they respond to the three modes of material nature, right? And then Mahavishnu expands himself as Garbhodaksaya Vishnu, enters into the universe, and then Garbhodaksaya Vishnu further expands into Kshirodaksaya Vishnu and enters into every atom. And then from the navel of Garbhodaksaya Vishnu comes out a lotus, right? And the stems are divided into 14 planetary systems. So all these detailed descriptions are mentioned in the 6th chapter of second canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, right? The 7th chapter, Brahma describes the manifestation of the Leela avatars, or the pastime incarnations of the Lord. And he concludes the teachings of Brahma to Narada Muni, and how Brahma instructs Narada Muni that now you have heard all of this, go all over the world and start spreading this message. Whatever knowledge you've received from me, go share this with everybody in the world. So in the 8th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj, he asks Sukadev Goswami about, okay, then what happened? Where did Narada Muni go? How was his preaching effort? Where all did he go? I want to know more about this, right? And then Parikshit Maharaj asks a bunch of questions, which we discussed last week. He asks questions about the Lord, about Jiva, about Kala, and about Karma broadly, right? And second canto, 8th chapter are only the questions of Parikshit Maharaj, but the answers to these questions are in the rest of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So, and Parikshit Maharaj also says something very interesting. He says, at the end of second canto, 8th chapter, he says that even those questions which I have not asked, because of my limited intelligence, if I have not asked those questions, that also you please answer, right? So we can see how eager Parikshit Maharaj is to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Sukadev Goswami. This is the quality of somebody who desires to receive Krishna's mercy, receive Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Generally, we have this tendency that if somebody is going on speaking for long time, right, and it's getting delayed and we're hungry, it's getting late for prasadam, nobody asks questions, because we know if you ask questions, this speaker is going to go on speaking for very long. And by mistake, if somebody raises their hands to ask questions, everybody goes like, what is this fellow? Why is he asking questions now? Why can't he ask later when there's nobody around, right? That's how our, especially mine, that's how our conditioning is, right? But Parikshit Maharaj is doing the opposite here. He's not eating anything. He's not sleeping for a second. He's fasting and he's asking more and more questions. And that is the reason why we all have Srimad Bhagavatam today. If not for this eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj to hear, none of us would have Srimad Bhagavatam. And why is that? Because Sukadev Goswami has a very interesting quality. We all know that Sukadev Goswami is the son of Srila Vyasadeva, right? And Sukadev Goswami refused to come out of the womb of his mother because he feared that if he came out, the material energy of the Lord will capture him and he will fall under the control of Maya. So he doesn't come. And Vyasadeva has to go to Dwaraka, bring Krishna, and Krishna has to promise Sukadev Goswami that, hey, Devi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya. This material energy is my energy, it's under my control, and I am promising you that this material energy will never capture you. You will never be illusioned. Please come out. After this promise, Sukadev Goswami comes out from the womb of his mother, and after he comes out, he doesn't stay there a minute. Right? He comes out as a fully grown man with beard, sadhu, everything, and he just walks into the forest. Right? He doesn't stay for a single minute even after his birth. So this is the quality, interesting quality of Sukadev Goswami. It is said that Sukadev Goswami never stays in a place for even as long as it takes to milk a cow, right? Because because the understanding that is that if Sukadev Goswami feels if he stays long enough, long as it takes to milk a cow, even that moment if he stays, then he might develop some attachment to the place, attachment to the people, attachment of the surroundings. So Sukadev Goswami constantly is aware of that fear. So he never stays in any place for longer than it takes to milk a cow. But how is it that miraculously Sukadev Goswami sat in one place on the banks of river Ganga for 7 days and 7 nights giving Srimad Bhagavatam to all of us through Parikshit Maharaj? How did this happen? Because Sukadev Goswami has another very interesting quality, which is that if somebody asks a question to Sukadev Goswami about the Lord, then Sukadev Goswami has this habit or has this tendency that he wants to properly answer the question to of that person and satisfy that person fully. And unless that person is fully satisfied, Sukadev Goswami will not move from there. So that is why you see throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadev Goswami tells something and he stops there, thinking, okay, if Parikshit Maharaj is satisfied here, I will stop here. But Parikshit Maharaj does not stop. He keeps asking questions, keep asking, can you please elaborate this? This looks very contradicting. Can you please explain? So he keeps going on, keeps going on. And that is why this question answer happens. And we have the entire Srimad Bhagavatam with us, right? So this is the eagerness of Parikshit Maharaj to hear more about the pastimes of the Lord. And that eagerness, the result of that eagerness is the benediction of Srimad Bhagavatam that we all have today, right? So Sukadev Goswami asked Parikshit Maharaj in the 10th canto, almost after 5 days of fasting, and with just 2 days to go, that Sukadev, because Parikshit Maharaj was focusing on the minute details that Sukadev Goswami was mentioning. So Sukadev Goswami asked Parikshit Maharaj, how are you so energetic? How are you so enthusiastic? Aren't you tired? You haven't slept, you haven't eaten. What is happening? And then Parikshit Maharaj says, who says I've not eaten or I've not slept? Right? Vayam hi dhanyatama loke guropi kshatra bandhava vayam piba muhut tattva punyam krishna katamratam. That I'm constantly eating and getting nourished by the Krishna Katha, Amrit of Krishna Katha, which is coming from your lotus mouth. Right? So this was the second canto, 8th chapter, where Parikshit Maharaj asked questions and forced Sukadev Goswami to stay there and continue speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, which moves on to second canto, 9th chapter, which is our focus today, which is answers of Sukadev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj by citing the version of the Lord. Now, what is the citing the version of the Lord? We'll just see that, right? So there are 46 shlokas in this chapter, second canto, 9th chapter. It's broadly divided. The flow is that from first chapter to the first shloka to the third shloka, Sukadev Goswami answers Parikshit Maharaj's first question about Jiva. That if a Jiva is a pure spirit soul, how come a pure spirit soul falls into this material world and has material experiences, undergoes material miseries? How is that possible for a pure spirit soul, right? So Sukadev Goswami answers that from first to third shloka. Then from fourth to eighth shloka, Sukadev Goswami answers the next question of Parikshit Maharaj by setting the platform of the conversation between Brahma and Lord Vishnu, right? How that happens in the beginning of the creation. Then from 9th shloka to the 18th shloka, Sukadev Goswami explains about Lord Brahma's darshan of Vaikunta, where Mahavishnu, being pleased by Brahma's austerity, gives the vision of the spiritual world to Brahma, and Brahma describes that. He describes this vision in the third canto, 15th chapter as well, when telling the demigods about Jaya Vijay pastime and about Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, right? Even there we see that Brahma gives this vision to all the devatas. He narrates this, but here he personally gets that vision by the mercy of the Lord, right? Then from 19th shloka to 25th shloka, being pleased by Brahma, Lord asks Brahma that please ask for benediction. Please ask what do you want. And in return to this, from 26th shloka to 30th shloka, Brahma asks the Lord 4 questions. 3 of them are questions. 4th one is a benediction that Brahma asks, a boon, a request that Brahma asks. Right? These are the 4 things that Brahma asks. And in return to these 4 requests, these 4 questions, from 31st to 38th shloka, Krishna or Mahavishnu, he answers Brahma's 4 questions in the form of 4 shlokas, which are called as Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. This Chaturshloki Bhagavatam is the bija mantras, or this is the seed of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Entire Srimad Bhagavatam is just the expansion of these 4 verses. So these 4 verses, they comprise the entire secrets, all the secretive knowledge that is captured in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? And Krishna or Vishnu blesses Brahma with this, then concludes the Chaturshloki, and then he disappears. And then 39 to 36, shloka 39 to shloka 46, Sukadev Goswami explains how the same knowledge that Vishnu gave to Brahma, how that is continuing in parampara, and how Parikshit Maharaj is hearing it in the right parampara, right? So this is the broader flow. This is how the 46 shlokas of this chapter are divided. Now we'll go into the depth of each of these section, right? So as we discussed, the first question of Parikshit Maharaj was, how is it that a spirit soul or a jiva gets trapped in this material world and undergoes materialistic miseries, right? To this, Sukadev Goswami explains that jiva, by its constitutional position, a jiva or a living entity is an amsha of the Lord. right? This is confirmed by Krishna in the 15th chapter, 7th shloka, where Krishna says, Mamai Vamsha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha Mana Shashtani Indriyani Prakriti Stani Karshati, right? Where Krishna says that Mamai Amsha, every Jiva in this material world is my Amsha, and Sanatana, that living entity is my Amsha eternally, right? Not just in this material world, but eternally, every living entity is an Amsha of the Lord, is a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But Mana Shastani Indriyani, and in Prakriti Stani, situated in this Prakriti, situated in this material world, Karshati, they are struggling in this material world because of Manaha Shashtani Indriyani, because of the influence of mind and the senses, right? The six senses, which includes the mind. Because of that, we are struggling in this world. So, Sukadeva Goswami explains why a pure spirit soul is struggling, being trapped in this material world, is because of Jiva's misidentification with the material body. And that misidentification is the cause of all the sufferings, right? And Sukadeva Goswami explains this with the analogy in the first three shlokas, right? And the analogy that Sukadeva Goswami gives is that of a person who's dreaming. Many times we hear this, right? When we are dreaming, we see this, we realize that sometimes a tiger chases us, a lion is chasing us, and we are running from the tiger or lion, and it's very close to catching us. And suddenly we wake up, right? And when we wake up, there's no tiger, there's no lion, we're just sleeping in the bed. But we are sweating, we are perspiring, our heart is beating faster, right? So that situation was illusory, right? That situation was an illusion. There was no tiger, there was no lion, nothing. But because we were perceiving ourselves as that person who is running away from the tiger, we were identifying ourselves with the person in that dream. Because of that, the experience of that misery was real. The experience of sweating and fast heartbeat and anxiety and fear, all of that experience was real because of our misidentification with that illusory situation, right? Similarly, a pure spirit soul can never have material experiences, but because of our misidentification with this body, we are having the temporary pleasures and miseries of this material world. We are experiencing it, right? And in the third canto, there's another example that Sukadeva Goswami gives, that if somebody is standing in front of a mirror, right, and they're dreaming, in the dream, they're standing in front of a mirror and they are seeing that their head is cut off and the head falls off, but they are still seeing the reflection in the mirror. Now, if the head is cut off, the eyes are on the face, right? They're on the head. And if that is cut off and it's chopped and it's fallen down, there is nothing we should be able to see. But we are still seeing the reflection of ourselves in the mirror with a chopped head because we are not that person, right? We are just seeing from a third person perspective. It is just a dream. That is why we are able to see this, right? So the whole conclusion here is that a spirit soul cannot have material experiences unless it misidentifies itself with the body. But as long as a person considers himself or herself as a pure spirit soul, as not this body but a soul, and not just a soul but a soul which is an amsha of the Lord, and spiritually it is a servant of the Lord eternally, right? Jivera swarupa hoy krishnera nityadas, that my eternal constitutional position is to be a servant of Krishna. That personality who has this realization, they are never in material anxieties. They are never conquered by bodily pleasures or miseries, right? So many examples like this. Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, every day Guru Maharaj, every day, every breath that Guru Maharaj takes is a miracle and is a proof of what Sukadeva Goswami is saying. That if somebody is situated in spiritual consciousness, their bodily pleasures and bodily miseries will never disturb them, right? So then this was firmly established, and then Parikshit Maharaj, Sukadeva Goswami moves to the next question of Parikshit Maharaj, which is, what is the difference between the Lord entering this material world versus us entering this material world, right? How is Vishnu entering this world different from the Jivas entering into this world? How, is that different or is it the same? And to answer this question, Sukadev Goswami talks about this historic narration between Brahma and Mahavishnu, right? So as we discussed before, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is, he enters this material universe and he fills half of this universe with his sweat, with his perspiration, which is called Garbhodaka ocean. And while lying on that Garbhodaka ocean, from his navel comes out a stem, a huge stem and a lotus on the top, right? And on that lotus, Brahma is born. So Brahma is actually a position. And that position or that post is given to the most qualified jiva in this material world. Right? That is the uh, criteria to become a Brahma. Just like president is called the first citizen of India, right? He is the first citizen because he is the most qualified person to be the president, right? That's how they are identified, and they keep shifting after their tenure. Similarly, that's how Brahma also works, right? And now that this Brahma had come out, Brahma comes out and he appears from the Lord. That's why he's Swayambhu, no mother, no father. He comes directly from the Lord. But when he comes out, he's seeing darkness everywhere. He's not seeing anybody, and he knows that he's come to perform the service of creation of this material universe. Krishna has given everything. He's given all the ingredients. He's given the space. Now Brahma has to perform this creation, the service of creation. But Brahma is confused. How do I do it? How do I go about it? How do I start? He doesn't know what to do, and he can't see where, whom to ask. He tries to follow the stem, but he is not successful. He tries to go down. Where is this coming from? But he's not able to see anything. And then from the waters, right, he hears two syllables, which is ta pa. Tapa, tapa. He hears this twice, which means renunciation or austerity. So Brahma takes this as the instruction from the Supreme that he is now supposed to do austerity, tapasya. And through that, he will get the solution to all his questions, right? So Brahma just sits there, calms down, and he performs austerity. And it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami tells here that Brahma performed austerities and tapasya for 1,000 celestial years by the calculation of the demigods. For 1,000 celestial years, Brahma does tapasya, and being very pleased by Brahma's tapasya, Vishnu appears there. Vishnu comes there, and Vishnu gives darshan to Brahma, and Sukadeva Goswami says Vishnu shakes the hand of Brahma. So there is touch also. Vishnu shakes the hand of Brahma and he congratulates Brahma on successfully performing the austerities and tapasya in such a nice way, right? Performing bhakti. So then, being pleased with Brahma, Vishnu gives Brahma the darshan of Vaikunta, the vision of Vaikunta, right? And Brahma sees how Vaikunta is free from all the dualities, right? Kunta means miseries, and Vaikunta means that place where there's no miseries, right? There's no dualities, no happiness, sadness, day, night, summer, winter, hot, heat, cold, no dualities. Constantly, eternally blissful environment, and all the devotees are very blissful in the service of the Lord, right? And the Vaikunta Vasis, Brahma sees how they are all resembling the body of the Lord because they have attained Sarupya Mukti. They have the similar form, Chaturabhuja form of the Lord, and they're all going in their. They're very, very opulent, and they're going in their aeroplanes, which are bestowed with very valuable jewels. It's filled with valuable jewels, right? And in those airplanes, they have their consorts who are very, very beautiful women. They're very celestial in their nature. But in spite of all of these luxuries and all of these avenues for sense gratification, not a single thought, not a tinge of desire for sense gratification comes to the Vaikuntha Vasis. Not just that, Brahma sees that when the fragrance of the beautiful Madhu Madhavi flowers, they enter the nostrils of the Vaikuntha Vasis, the intoxicating fragrance of this flower, when it enters the nostrils of the Vaikuntha Vasis, they actually get annoyed and they curse this flower for disturbing their absorption on the Lord. Right? They are like, we are so blissful in our absorption of the Lord, and this fragrance is disturbing our absorption. Right? That is the status. That is the level of devotion that Vaikuntha Vasis have attained. Right? Anya Bilashita Shunyam. They have no material desires, nothing whatsoever except to please the Lord. Right? So Lord blesses Brahma with the supreme vision of Vaikuntha, and he tells Brahma that I'm giving you the benediction. You please ask whatever you want, whatever you desire, you please ask. So Brahma asks the Lord 4 questions. Right? So these 4 questions, in summary, are: first question is about the form of the Lord. So Brahma asks, can you please tell me about your spiritual and your material form? What is your spiritual form? What is your material form? Can you please tell me? And second question of Brahma was about the energies of the Lord. How is the Lord operating his different energies, material and spiritual energies? How does the Lord work with them? Then the third question that Brahma had was on the Lord's activities. That how does Lord perform his activities in relation to his material energy and in relation to his spiritual energy? How does Lord perform his leelas? And then finally, fourth question was more of a request, where Brahma says that now that you have given me this benediction and this service to perform the creation of this material universe, secondary creation, Visarga, right? So he says, you please bestow me with your mercy. Please bless me so that I can perform the service of secondary creation without any pride and without any bondage. You please bless me. This is the prayer that Brahma offers, right? And in answer to these four questions, the Lord speaks the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, which are the four seed verses which summarizes the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. So the first question was about the forms of the Lord, that please explain your material and spiritual form. Please elaborate on it. And to explain that, Vishnu tells Brahma that, first is that although he enters into this material world, he never accepts a material body. He's always spiritual, right? And the proof for that is that Vishnu or Krishna existed before this material universe was created. He exists while this material universe is being maintained, and he will continue to exist after the material universe is annihilated, right? So the existence of the Supreme Lord is independent of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material world, which shows that Krishna is never under the influence or control of the material world. He never accepts a material form. He always has a spiritual form, and that spiritual form is eternal. But when Krishna creates this material world is the material form of the Lord, which is known as Virata Rupa, Vishwarupa, right? So this universal form of the Lord, every element of this universe is the material form of the Lord, but he also has a spiritual form which is independent of this material world, and it is eternally existing. So in this way, the Lord explains to Brahma about a spiritual form and material form, right? Then the second question that Brahma asked the Lord was, how does the Lord operate his different energies? How does he control them, right? So Krishna tells him that very simple thing, right? That whatever appears to be of any value in this material world, right? If it is not in relation with me, then it is my illusion, right? Krishna says anything in this world, material, spiritual, anything, if it is not seen in connection with the Lord, if it is not seen as an energy of the Lord, then that vision or that conception is illusion. That is Maya, right? So Maya means to think that something is independent of the Lord. Something can operate or sustain independently of the Lord. That is Maya, right? In the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, initially when Duryodhan, he performs his diplomacy, right? He goes to his guru Dronacharya, he goes to Bhishma Dev, and he tries to pull the leg of Bhishma Dev, of Dronacharya, his guru, by saying that, see, you trained a Brahmana called Drishtadumna, you trained this Kshatriya, Drishtadumna, and you thought, oh, I'm being a great Brahmana, very generous, whoever comes to me, I'll give them knowledge and all of that. But the same person who has learned from you has expertly arranged the Pandavas' army, and they're all waiting to kill you, right? So see how foolish you were. Like that, he tries to taunt, Duryodhan tries to taunt his guru, Dronacharya. So there, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions that, like Duryodhan, there are many people in this material world who have very nice qualities and they are very charismatic, and and it's very enigmatic. Like we feel drawn towards that. Oh my God, this is very nice. Somebody might be very, very kind. Somebody might be very charitable. Somebody might be a brilliant genius, right? They might be like this. They might be different attributes to them, which might attract us towards them. But Prabhupada warns that the good qualities in a person who does not have bhakti, who does not have Krishna consciousness, is like a valuable jewel which is on the head of a snake, right? If there's a Nagamani and somebody gets attracted by that Nagamani, by that valuable jewel, and they try to go closer to that jewel to associate with it and to hold it, but without realizing that the jewel is sitting on the head of a snake, then they will get bitten by the snake and they will lose everything, right? Similarly, if we get attracted by the opulence and the qualities of materialistic people in this world who have no inclination towards the Supreme Lord, no, their destruction is anyway guaranteed, but we will also lose our opportunity of the human form of life, and we will also struggle, right? I was very recently I was hearing this interview of Elon Musk, who's considered to be one of the genius of our modern day, right? He has built spacecrafts and modern space technology, which even government organizations of entire nations, right, like US, Russia, India, they also are not able to do some of the things that this one man is doing, right? So Elon Musk in an interview was asked that how does it feel to be in the mind of Elon Musk? And Elon Musk says, no, I wouldn't wish this for anybody because it is very, very, chaotic, right? And the interviewer asks, is it good chaotic or is it bad chaotic? Right? Good chaotic because you might get a lot of ideas and it might be very nice. You're creating so much. So is it good chaotic or bad chaotic? And Elon Musk takes his time, closes his eyes, thinks, and he says, it is bad chaotic. And I don't wish to be in this, right? So that personality whom people are getting inspired and they want to follow and all of that, he himself is saying, I don't wish this for anybody, right? So no matter how much material heights we attain, if we cannot establish our relationship with Krishna, that is illusion, that is Maya, which is what Krishna tells Brahma, that everything seen in relation with the Lord is spiritual, but anything seen independent of the Lord is material. This is how the two energies of the Lord operate. Then the third question of Brahma was about the activities of the Lord in relation to spiritual and material energy. And to explain this, again, Krishna mentions that just like the material energies, they are both inside and outside. Similarly, I am also inside and outside of everything, right? This might seem like a tongue twister, very contradictory. What is happening here, right? So, for example, if you take any material object, for example, the laptop or the mobile phones that we are all holding right now and hearing this katha, right? So, this laptop or the mobile phone is made of materials that come from the earth, right? So earth is outside, but the materials of earth are also inside this technology, inside this gadget, right? Whether it's laptop or mobile or whatever, earth is outside and earth is inside, right? So just like this material element can be outside and inside, similarly, Krishna also can exist outside and Krishna can exist inside also. Everything, outside everything, inside everything, right? So there's this beautiful place called Brahmanda Ghat, right? Where Krishna performed this pastime where he ate the dirt. And when Yashoda Maya asked him to open his mouth, Yashoda Maya saw the entire Brahmanda inside the belly, inside the mouth of Krishna. And she saw this and she gets surprised, and that Leela happens. But if you look at that, look at the tattva or look at the philosophy of that, Krishna is showing the entire Brahmanda to Yashoda Maya, right? So the entire Brahmanda is in Krishna. But where is Krishna? Krishna is sitting on the lap of Yashoda Maya, who's sitting in Vrindavan, which is one village in this Bhuloka, which is in one of the planetary system of this entire Brahmanda, right? So Krishna is in the material universe, but inside Krishna's mouth, the entire material universe exists, right? So in this way, Krishna is inside everything and everything resides in Krishna simultaneously, right? It might be very difficult to understand, but this is how it works, right? So this is what we see in the creation as well, right? That we saw how Krishna is the supreme personality, original person. From him, the first expansion is Balaram. From Balaram comes the first Chaturvyuha, right? Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. From the Sankarshana of the first Chaturvyuha comes Narayan. From Narayan comes the second Chaturvyuha of Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. From the Sankarshana of the second Chaturvyuha comes Mahavishnu, right? Karnodaksha Vishnu. And then from Mahavishnu, from the body of Mahavishnu, all the material universes comes. There are as many material universes as the skin pores on the body of Vishnu, right? So Mahavishnu is outside the material universe. And there are all the material universes reside in the body of Mahavishnu. That is why he's called Narayan. Ayan means shelter. He's the supreme shelter for all living entities, right? So Vishnu is outside the material universe, right? But that same Vishnu enters every material universe as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And then he expands as Kshirodaksha Vishnu and enters into the heart of every living entity and every single atom in this material world. He enters the heart as Paramatma and he enters into every single atom to maintain this material universe, right? So in this way, Vishnu, Mahavishnu, Supreme Lord is outside also. The whole material universe is residing in him, but his expansion also reside inside the material universe simultaneously, right? And this is the vision of a pure devotee, to see that Krishna is inside and outside everything, right? And so many places this is mentioned, but we see this very famously in Kunti Maharani's prayer as well. She starts her prayers in the first canto, 8th chapter, by offering obeisances to the Lord. And one of the glorifications she does while offering the obeisances is Namasye, or offering obeisances, right? Namasye Purusham Twadhyam Ishwaram Prakritim Param Alaksham Sarva Bhutanam Antar Bahir Avastitam. That I offer my obeisances to that Supreme Personality who is Antar Bahir Avastitam, who is simultaneously inside and outside of everything, and Alaksha se Sarva Bhutanam, right? The materialistic people will not be able to understand this. Only the pure devotees will have this vision that Krishna is inside and outside of everything simultaneously, right? So this is how we develop the pure vision, and this is what is the definition of Pandita as well. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, "Vidya dadati vinayam brahmane gavihastine shuni chaiva swapakecha panditah samadarshina." Pandita is someone who sees everybody as equal. But how can you see a man, a goat, an elephant, a tiger, everything as equal? Or any other atom? How is it that we can see, a Pandita can see everything as equal? Because he sees everything as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. He sees Paramatma in everybody, right? Inside everybody and everything, the Pandita sees Paramatma, right? And this is what is the vision of a pure devotee. So Krishna answers the third question of Brahma about how he performs his activities in relation to material and spiritual energies by explaining what is the vision of a pure devotee. And then the fourth question, a request Brahma had, that please help me ensure that, please bless me so that I don't get illusioned and I don't fall under pride. To explain that, Krishna tells what is required to develop this pure vision of a devotee, that Krishna is inside, outside everything. How can we develop that pure vision, right? And that Krishna says that we can reach this stage by inquiring, inquisitively inquiring from a bona fide guru and practicing the instructions of that guru, right? So this is basically sadhana bhakti. The answer to the third question, the vision of a pure devotee, was prema bhakti, seeing Lord everywhere and everything. But how do we get to that? The means is sadhana bhakti, by inquisitively inquiring about the Lord, knowing about him, and following those instructions, following that practice constantly, that which is the practice of devotional service. Right? Through that, we can develop the vision of seeing the Lord everywhere. Right? So to summarize, what are the four questions and what are the four answers? In 2 to 3 minutes, Brahma asked 4 questions. Firstly, about the material and spiritual forms of the Lord. Second, the material and spiritual energies of the Lord. Third, activities performed by the Lord in relation to the material and spiritual energy. Fourth, request for Lord's mercy so that he does not get influenced by pride and bondage. And in answer to these 4 questions, Krishna explains first one, that spiritual form is eternal. Krishna's spiritual form is always existing, eternal. And his material form is this material universe, which is Virata Rupa, Vishwarupa. Then the second question, Krishna explains that about the material and spiritual energies of the Lord. Krishna says that to be in Krishna conscious means to see everybody and everything in relation to the Supreme Lord, not independent. Because if you are seeing something independent of the Lord, then that is Maya, that is illusion. Then the third question was what activities Lord performs in relation to material and spiritual world. To that, Krishna explains with the third Chatushloki, where he says that Krishna is simultaneously present inside and outside of everything, and this is the vision of a pure devotee. And then how does one develop this the vision of a pure devotee? They develop it by approaching a bona fide guru, submissively inquiring from them, and practicing the path of devotional service, right? So this is the 4 questions, and in response to them, the Chatushloki that we had, right? Finally, Krishna wraps up, Sukadeva Goswami wraps up this narration by talking about how the Chatushloki is still continuing through the bona fide parampara. Right? So Krishna spoke this to Brahma. Brahma gives these instructions to his son Narada. Narada speaks this to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva speaks this to Sukadeva Goswami. And Vyasadeva speaks this to Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami speaks the same message, same essence to Parikshit Maharaj and also to Suta Goswami. Right? And Suta Goswami hears this and he goes and speaks this to Shaunakadi Rishis and Naimisharanya. Right? And that is the same message that we are hearing today, right? So that lineage, that parampara is still continuing. And that parampara, Krishna in the 12th canto, he tells this, and Sukadeva Goswami also quotes this, that anybody who speaks Srimad Bhagavatam in line with this parampara it is they're very glorious, and they are directly speaking Krishna's message. It is Krishna who is speaking this message through the transparent medium of parampara, right? So Krishna did not just speak to Brahma. Krishna also spoke to Narada through Brahma. Krishna also spoke to Vyasadev through Narada. Krishna also spoke to Sukadev Goswami through Vyasadev, right? So, and Krishna is also speaking to us through Acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, who has given us this wonderful commentaries and given us this gift of Srimad Bhagavatam, right? So, that is how the Parampara system is very, very glorious, and the same original message is retained. Although we might present it differently, so that it suits the contemporary world and common people in this world are able to understand, but the original core message of Bhagavatam should always remain intact. And if we are able to do that, then Krishna personally speaks Srimad Bhagavatam to all of us, right, through the medium of Parampara. So this is how this this chapter is wrapped up. But I will take, I think I have 15 more minutes. So I'll take this, I thought I'll take this opportunity to meditate on the importance and how this instructions, the Chatur Shloki, is relevant to all of us, right? So Brahma, the original Jiva in this material universe, right? He gets personal instructions, he gets vision of Vaikuntha from the Lord, and he's personally blessed by the Lord, right? But then what happens, right? Then what happens if we see in the Srimad Bhagavatam? So that is what we'll discuss, right? And today is also the auspicious day of Gopashtami, right? So I thought I'll touch a little bit about that and see if I can connect this to the Chatur Shloki that we are seeing, right? So Gopashtami is that auspicious day when it is for the first time on the 8th lunar day of the Shukla Paksha of Kartik Mas, when Krishna goes to Yashoda Maya and he tells that, Yashoda Maya, I've grown big now. I've become big. I'm 6 years old, right? And I'm enough of me taking care of the calves. Now I should take care of the big cows, right? Krishna goes to Yashoda Maya with this desire. And Yashoda Maya says, hey, are you mad? No cows and all. Cows are very big. They're very strong. You're very tender. How will you manage them? And cows, they have horns. What if they run into you, right? And cows go deep into the forest for grazing. They are not happy with just staying outside like calves and eating whatever calves will get, right? They're happy with that. But cows go deep into the forest, and there are many dangerous animals and demons in the forest. No cows and all. This is not allowed. But Krishna says, no, Yashoda Maya, this is not possible. I have to do it, right? I am the son of Nanda Maharaj, who's the king of Vrindavan. I have to relieve my father of all his duties. So please let me take care of the cows. Let me graze the cows, right? No, Yashoda Maya is running out of excuses, running out of reasons. She's thinking, yo, what can I tell him so that I keep him away from, grazing the cows? So like every typical mother, Yashoda Maya says, see, this is a very important decision. This is a very, very important day. It should be done in the right muhurta, right? We should see auspicious time, auspicious stars, constellation, astrology, all of those things. Then we should decide when you will go and do the cows. You can't decide just like that. So immediately by the divine arrangement of Krishna, Gargamuni comes there, right? And Gargamuni comes and Krishna says, oh, wonderful, our Kulaguru, our Acharya, Gargamuni has come. Let's ask him only that what is auspicious time. And Yashoda Maya says, okay, Gargamuni, now that you've anyway come in the time when I didn't want you to come, please tell what is the auspicious time, right? And Gargamuni is looking at Krishna and is telling, what auspicious time, inauspicious time? Krishna is the controller of everything, right? What can be auspicious? So Gargamuni understands the mood of Krishna, and to give pleasure to Krishna, Gargamuni tells Yashoda Maya, tomorrow morning is the most auspicious time to start going to graze the cows, right? Generally, we have this in our culture, right? That Ashtami, Navami is not very auspicious. You're not supposed to do anything on Ashtami and Navami and all. But with Krishna, none of those things matter. It is Ashtami, Gopashtami, right? But Gargamuni says, tomorrow morning only you start. It's fine. Krishna can go. So then Krishna goes next day morning, and Krishna gets permission from Yashoda Maya that now I can go. See, I can go into the forest. Right. So then Yashoda Maya reluctantly says, okay, fine, I've run out of the reasons, but I'll do one thing. I'll knit footwear for you, because you'll go into the forest. They're very hard pebbles and all of that. So your feet might get stuck and get thorns and stones and all that might, trouble your feet, right? So I'll stitch a very comfortable footwear for you. Then Krishna tells Mother Yashoda, no, what are you doing? We are supposed to be servants of Gomata. right? Mother cow is our master, right? So we are getting everything from mother cow. How is it that I am, in all luxury and comfort I'm getting, and the cows don't have it? This is not possible. So if you are making footwear for me, you have to make footwear for all the cows, right? Which would have been okay for any other Goshala in this world. But Nanda Maharaj has 9 lakh cows, and each cow has 4 legs. So Yashoda Maya overnight had to stitch 36 lakh footwears for all the cows and 2 extra for Krishna. So 36 lakh 2 footwears had to be stitched. Yashoda Maya said, impossible, I will not do it. Okay, you struggle, fine. If this is what you desire, do it. Right? This shows how much Krishna loves the cows. Right? Every aspect of Krishna, the mother cow is involved in it, right? For example, what is Krishna called? Krishna's name is Gopal, right? And where does Krishna stay? Gokul, right? Where does Krishna eternally stay in the spiritual world? It is Goloka. It is not Krishna Loka, it is Goloka. Who does Krishna eternally associate with? They are called Gopas and Gopis. And where does Krishna perform all his pastimes? It is called Govardhan. So every aspect of the Lord, Mother Cow is there. And this shows how dear Mother Cow is to Krishna, how integral part of Krishna's existence Mother Cow is, right? So all the cows in the Goshala, they heard this argument of Krishna that if you can't give footwear to the cows, I will also not wear, right? So they heard this. So Krishna went, he slept in the night. Morning he woke up, he was all set to go and start grazing the cows. He was very happy. Mother Yashoda and all the gopis, they decorate him very nicely. We have this in Srimad Bhagavatam, the vision of gopis vision of Krishna entering into the forest with all the cowherd boys, right? Baraha pidam natavara vapu karnayo karnikaram bibradvasah kanakapisam vaijayantim charamalam randran radara sudaya purayan gopavrinder vrindaranyam swapadaramanam pravishad gita kirti. So this is the beautiful vision that gopis have of how Krishna is looking so beautiful while Krishna is entering into the forest of Vrindavan along with the gopas. And the gopis only decorate Krishna very nicely, right? So Yashoda Maya does all of that. She decorates Krishna. Krishna picks up his buffalo horn and he blows it, giving a signal to all the gopas that you please wake up now and start getting ready. But when Krishna blows his buffalo horn, all the gopas are jumping out of their house. They are already awake and they are waiting. When will Krishna's signal come? Soon as Krishna called, he blew his horn, everybody jumped. And nobody opened the door and came out of the door like civilized children. They are jumping from the window, somebody is jumping from the balcony, they're all jumping from everywhere. And all the gopas come out. They're very, very excited that today we'll go to the forest with Krishna. And this is the most glorious, auspicious day when Krishna is getting graduation. From the calves, he's now going to graze the cows, and we want to be a part of it. The gopas are very happy. And the gopis are feeling very sad that we are not able to come in to the forest with you. We are not able to relish this pastime with you. Yashoda Maya, she decorates Krishna nicely and she says, now you can go. When Krishna is going, Yashoda Maya says, Krishna, stop, stop. She goes a few steps and she says, Krishna, your waist belt is very loose. Let me tighten it. She tightens it. Then Krishna walks a few steps. Then Yashoda Maya is like, Krishna, stop, stop, stop. Your peacock feather is not straight. Let me keep it. Right? So she's constantly doing this. She's following Krishna. And Krishna is telling, Yashoda Maya, instead of this, you just come to the forest with me. Why do this then? You please leave me. This is my time to graze the cows in the forest and spend time with the gopas. Please leave me. Right? He tells it very sternly, and then Yashoda Maya is like, okay, fine, Krishna, please go. Right? And all the gopis are feeling separation. So Krishna was able to pacify Yashoda Maya that you please stay, don't come with me. But he was not able to pacify one person. That was Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani somehow wanted to be a part of this Leela. And she thought Srimati Radharani had a very close resemblance with one of the Gopasakas, whose name was Subala Saka. So Krishna thought, okay, I look like Subala Saka, so let me dress up like Subala Saka. Let me dress up like a Gopa, and I will just get merged into this crowd and nobody will notice. And I will go to the forest and perform this, witness this pastime, Gopashtami pastime of the Lord. So Srimati Radharani dresses as a Gopa and she goes into the forest with Krishna. And that is why in most of the temples, even in ISKCON temples, right, on this day, Srimati Radharani is given the alankar of a gopa. And if she is in the alankar of a gopa, her lotus feet is visible, right? Because gopas don't cover their lotus feet. Srimati Radharani covers her lotus feet all the time. But on this day, when she comes in the Vesha of a gopa, her lotus feet is visible and that mercy is visible. So most of the temples follow this routine even today, right? In the mood of this pastime. So, this beautiful pastime of Gopashtami happens and everybody enters the forest. But what happens when they enter the forest? A lot of leelas happen, right? And one such leela which happens is when all the Gopas had entered into the forest with Krishna, and they're having a lot of fun. The Gopas are imitating the birds, the frogs. They're laughing. They're having a lot of fun. And Krishna goes to the side once in a while. He looks at the beautiful mountains, the waterfalls, and then the Gopas play a game. That, oh, Krishna is standing there, mesmerizing the beauty, looking at the beauty, and all of that. Let's play a game. Whoever runs the fastest and touches Krishna first, that Gopa wins. Then everybody runs towards Krishna and they all jump on Krishna and they hold Krishna and they do all of these games they're doing, right? One day they were all playing like this and Krishna was standing on the side. The Gopas suddenly see that, hey, here there seems to be a very big cave, right? We have never seen this cave in Vrindavan, right? We have never seen such a landscape. What if inside this cave there is a huge forest where we can go and along with Krishna we can play so many more games that we have never played? So Gopas become happy. They try to go towards it. But another Gopa in that group says, hey, wait a minute. We have never seen this before. What if it's a demon? Another Gopa says, what if it's a mouth of a huge snake? Let's not go. So they're all debating like this. But eventually they come to the conclusion that whatever it is, right? Krishna is with us. Why should we worry? Let's just surrender on him and let's go forward. So then the Gopas, they agree on this and they go in. But this was the mouth of Aghasura, a very dangerous, envious demon called Agha, right? Agha was the brother of Baki and Baka. Baki is Putana and Baka is Bakasur. He was the brother. And Aghasura thought, this envious demon thought that Krishna killed my brother and sister, my family. So I will come here and, he killed my brother and sister and he's enjoying with his family. How is this possible? So he came as a python, envious snake, and he wanted to kill the entire Vrajavasis. He thought, I will first take away all the Gopas, then Krishna will come looking for them, I will kill Krishna, then the Vrajavasis will come looking for them, I will kill all of them, and this way I'll wipe out the entire Vrindavan, and I will please my master Kamsa. This is what Aghasur was thinking, right? Who was Agha in his previous life? How did it get this verse? Because, that is a separate pastime. But, Aghasur performed this Leela. And all the Gopas go in and they faint in the body of Aghasur and they die. And then Krishna, he realizes as Paramatma that what is happening. Krishna also enters into the body of Aghasur. And all the Devatas who are seeing from the top, they are shocked. We thought Krishna is Paramatma, Krishna knows everything, but Krishna is also falling in the trap. What is happening? So Krishna goes into the body of Aghasur, and then he grows and expands and he becomes bigger and bigger. And Aghasur is becoming bigger. Krishna is becoming even more bigger. Aghasur is becoming even more bigger. And it is said Aghasur's lower lip touched the ground, upper lip touched the sky. That's how big it went. And then finally Aghasur couldn't expand anymore. And Krishna became so big that not even 1 inch of life air could pass through Aghasur's body. And Aghasur's eyes popped out. He choked and he died. And then Krishna blasted out from the body of Aghasur. He became so big that he came out, right? And Aghasur already died, right? Aghasur's eyes popped out and the soul of Aghasur has come out, but it is waiting. It's just hovering there. All the Devatas are seeing that what is going to happen with the soul. The soul is just hovering there. When Krishna comes up, blows up Aghasur's body and expands and comes out of Aghasur's body, then the soul of Aghasur goes and merges with Krishna, right? And that soul of Aghasur is said to have received Sarupya Mukti, right? So then all the Devatas are shocked. How come such an envious demon like Aghasur, which caused so much trouble to all the Vrajavasis, how did it get special mercy of the Lord? How did it get liberation? How did it get Mukti? They were all shocked. To which the reason is, Krishna thought that Aghasur was very, very envious, very big rascal. But Aghasur did one good thing, that looking at the body of Aghasur, the Gopas got pleasure. They thought that, oh, this place is a wonderful place where we can go and we can have fun and we can enjoy with Krishna. So that momentary pleasure that the Gopas got by looking at the body of Aghasur was enough for Krishna to forgive all the sins of Aghasur and give him liberation. Agha means sin. Agha means papam. And Aghasur is the personification of sin. But Krishna was willing to overlook the entire mountains of sins that Aghasur has committed only because the momentary pleasure that Aghasur gave to his devotees. Right? This is how merciful the Lord is. So the Gopas heard all of this and they come out, they're unconscious and they're dead. But by the glance of the Lord, the Gopas come up alive. And they're very happy. They're like, oh, we went into a cave, we fell unconscious, and Krishna helped us. That's all they know. They don't know anything. So they play with Krishna, they're very happy, and they come back to Rajavasis. They come back in the evening to Vrindavan, and they go and they meet all their parents, mother, father, they meet everybody, right? And they meet and they narrate what all happened. They say, today we went into the forest, we were playing with Krishna, there was a cave, we went into that cave, it turned out to be a dangerous demon, then we fell unconscious, and Krishna, saved us, and he brought us back safely, and we are happily here, right? They say all of this, and they say, today it happened. Today we went, today we met this demon, today we came out, right? Today they're saying. But Sukadev Goswami said, although the Gopas are saying this happened today, actually this happened 1 year before, right? So then the question is, why is this confusion there? Why are the Gopas saying today it happened, but Sukadev Goswami is saying actually it happened 1 year ago? What happened in this 1 year, right? Those of us who have studied or heard the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam or the Krishna book know that what happened in this 1 year was the Brahma Vimohan Leela, Brahma getting bewildered. That same Brahma, who in this 9th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam got personally empowered by Krishna, personally instructed by Krishna, had personal vision of Vaikuntha, that Brahma, who is the original Jiva, the supreme Jiva in this material universe, among Jivatmas, he is the topmost. That Brahma, who was personally empowered, Swayambhu, he gets bewildered by the energy of the Lord, right? And if this is very, it crushes our hope. Ayo, if that Brahma who the Lord went and shakes hands with, right, in this chapter, if that Brahma got bewildered, who am I? What hope do I have? Right? But then, just like we see with Agasur, how Krishna was so merciful, and Krishna overlooked all the faults and blessed Agasur with Sarupya Mukti. Similarly, Brahma also repented his mistake. He told Krishna that I am sorry for this mistake and I will repent for it. And Brahma expanded himself as Barsana Dham, on which Radha and Krishna performs all their Leela. Brahma served Radha and Krishna, and he said, I know I behaved like a very fallen person who is not worthy of being Brahma or worthy of having a high birth. So I'll be born into a family of a very low birth. He appears in the family of a Shudras, Malechas, right? He appears in a Muslim family as Haridas Thakur, but he becomes Namacharya. And Haridas Thakur leaves his body in the arms of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, tightly holding the feet of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, looking into the teary, water-filled eyes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, filled with stalwart devotees from, all over the universe, filled with all those stalwart devotees singing and chanting kirtan and chanting the holy name. This is how Haridas Thakur attained perfection, right? So Brahma received this mercy, fell down, but because he served, he remained strong in his service, again got the mercy of the Lord as Haridas Thakur. Similarly, we might keep falling down in our life again and again and again, but on this auspicious day of Gopashtami, we can just meditate on this one instruction that if we just hold on to the lotus feet of Acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, just follow the simple instruction of 16 rounds every single day, 4 regulative principles without fail, Krishna will surely bless us with his mercy. And this is the promise Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. He tells in 9.31 and 9.32, Api chet sudracharo bhajate mam ananyabhag sadureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Even if a sadhu commits most heinous crime, he should still be considered as a sadhu if he is bhajate mam ananyabhag, if he is constantly engaged in service. Because Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanehi name bhaktya pranashyati. Because I will speak to that devotee as guilt, right? The I as Paramatma in the devotee's heart will come as guilt, and that will transform the devotee. And then he tells, Kaunteya Pratijanehi, Arjuna, you please go ahead, go all over the world and proclaim that Name Bhaktya Pranashyati. My devotees will never perish. So I'm sorry, I'm taking 6 minutes extra, so I'll stop here. But on this auspicious day, if we can just meditate that Krishna will never let his devotees perish and he's supremely merciful, and if we just follow these simple instructions and mold our lives according to these instructions, we can attain the supreme perfection as well. Right? Hare Krishna. I'll stop here.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for taking us to Vaikuntha Loka, then to Vrindavan, and wonderful session, Prabhu, as always. Thank you so much for, and this Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, generally it looks it's very difficult to understand, but you have made it very easy to explain to all of us. Very nice. Thank you so much. Anybody has any question or comments? Before, I know we have exceeded time, but if Anybody wants to ask any question or pass any comments, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. It was really wonderful session. Yesterday night when I called Shankapani Prabhu around probably 9:30, 10 in the night to remind him for the session, he told Prabhu, I'm tied up with all the office calls. I'll prepare after once I'm done with my office work. But I think Prabhu doesn't require any pre-preparation to give a Bhagavatam session. He's so much realized that the Bhagavatam is so free flowing from his mouth. So really thanking Prabhu for this wonderful session, Prabhu. So I just had one question. You mentioned about how the gopis of Vrindavan, they were visualizing when Krishna took this Gopa form, and you sang few verses. So can you mention the reference, Prabhu, the number, shloka number?
Yes, Prabhu. This is in the 10th canto. I will just try to see if I'm able to get this. Yeah, this is 10th canto, 21st verse, 21st chapter, 5th verse, Prabhu. Barha Pidam Natavarabapu. 10.21.5.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You sang it very nicely too. It was very sweet.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your kind words. And I see that as a disqualification in me that I'm not spending enough time with Bhagavatam and not preparing enough. But it's the mercy of all the Vaishnavas here that even foolish person like me is able to speak about Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you so much. And please forgive me for all the offenses and aparads that I keep committing.
Prabhu, if you permit, can I ask one question? So you also told that, Lord Brahma told that we should get this knowledge from Guru Parampara. So many times devotees face this challenge that, they are not getting the direct association of their spiritual master. And because of that, sometimes the Guru Bhakti becomes a little slack because of our material conditioning, we look at our spiritual master also as a ordinary person. So, what steps, in your opinion, we can take that so that we don't slacken on our bhakti to Guru, spiritual master, because he is the medium for us to go close to Krishna.
Sure, Prabhu. I'll just connect my charger. My laptop is switching off. So I'll just connect 1 second, Prabhu.
Sure.
Yeah, extremely sorry for the delay. Yeah, bro. So, bro, like, firstly, like you asking this question is like Parikshit Maharaj asking questions to Sukadev Goswami, where, or Arjun asking questions to Krishna, where you already know the answer, and whatever I'm going to say is things that I've heard and learned from you only. So, but still, for the benefit of my purification and for all the Vaishnavas assembled, I'll just try to speak a few words on this. So it is true that without Guru's mercy, there's absolutely nothing possible. That's true for material world, but especially true for spiritual world. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi. Without the mercy of Guru, nothing is possible, right? But then how do we continue to sustain our Guru bhakti or our allegiance to Guru with such a minimal association of Guru, right? Without any association of him, how do we still have that reverence and how can we worship Guru, right? So this is where there are two aspects of Guru Seva, right? The Vapi Seva and Vani Seva, right? So Vapi Seva is service to the physical body of the Guru, and Vani Seva is service of his speech, of his instructions. So Prabhupada made it very, very clear from the scriptures that Vani Seva is always the most important rather than Vapi Seva, right? So Prabhupada, while giving a lecture, when this question was asked that Prabhupada, we don't interact with you, you keep going all over the world, how can we, develop a relationship with you? How can we connect with you? Prabhupada said See, if you want to be with me all the time, he showed that there's a mosquito or there's a bee which is sitting on my hand right now. It is associating with me, but all it is doing is sucking my blood, right? So you can be around me and commit aparads and fall down in your bhakti, but at the same time you can be far away, preaching somewhere else, following my instructions, but be very close to me and receive my mercy, right? So in that way, for us, the most important aspect is to meditate on the instructions of the Guru, right? Whatever instructions we get. And many a times Guru Maharaj was asked, our Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapatak Swami Guru Maharaj was asked that, Guru Maharaj, can you please give me personal instruction? Can you please tell me something that I should follow? And Guru Maharaj very clearly tells that everything I tell in my classes are my instructions only, right? They are for everybody and they are for you also. So I am not going to give you personal one-on-one instruction like this. You please take those instructions and you apply this, right? And every day Guru Maharaj gives classes, even in this very, very difficult situation, difficult condition. So if you can just look at those instructions, hear them, and under the guidance of the representatives of Guru, if you're able to follow those instructions, then we will always have allegiance and we'll be able to worship Guru, right? Because otherwise, if we just have this desire that I want to be closer to Guru's body, or I want to serve Guru personally, that is one is it is not very favorable. Second is it is very dangerous, right? Because the system of Gurukul is arranged such a way that actually it is arranged in a way that young boys, right, brahmacharis, they stay in the Gurukul, they take care of the Guru's body, and Guru takes care of the disciple's soul or spiritual journey. That's how it works, right? But in our culture, like especially as grahasthas and all of that, it's not very advisable that we associate very closely with the Guru, right? It might give us that momentary fame that, oh, everybody is seeing me close to Guru Maharaj, I might get this attention and fame and all of that. But actually, we have to be very, very, very cautious to not commit this aparadh. Because I remember once by the mercy of Premnath Prabhu, just the day before my initiation, I got this opportunity to feed Guru Maharaj prasadam, right? And I was sent into the room of Guru Maharaj, and Maharaj had prasadam. They had given me a bottle, a water spray, and they had asked me to clean the teeth of Maharaj and remove all the things, and and then put water, give water to Guru Maharaj, right? But while I was doing that, constantly I was in fear that what if I commit some aparadh mentally? I treat this as dirt or gum in anybody else's mouth, right? Should not. I was so fearful and so tensed and so conscious in that few moments, right? So that it was enough for me to realize that, oh man, what these personal servants do is very, very exalted, and it's not something that we should try to imitate. But if we just follow the instructions of Guru wherever we are, and if we are trying to just practice that, then we'll attain Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy, right? So recently, there are many instances where Srila Prabhupada, by his momentary association, uplifted all the Vaishnavas, right? I remember Satswarup Goswami Maharaj, in his article, he writes that he was with with Prabhupada in New York, and Prabhupada instructed him to go to Boston. And when Satswarup Maharaj went to Boston, there was no temple. Maharaj was working from 9 to 6, he was doing a job. In the morning, he was doing Mangalarti and Bhagavatam. In the evening, he was going to colleges, universities, and preaching. So constantly he was tied up, and he was feeling very, very depressed. And he was feeling separation from Prabhupada. That where in New York, every day I was seeing Prabhupada, and here I'm struggling like this. Nobody knows resources. What is this? But Satswarup Goswami writes that in such very depressing moments, what inspired Satswarup Maharaj was that when Prabhupada sent Satswarup Maharaj to Boston on that day, while sending, when Satswarup Maharaj offered obeisances to Prabhupada, Prabhupada kept his hand on the back of Satswarup Maharaj. He patted him and he kept his hand just a few seconds longer, as if he was blessing. And Satswarup Maharaj felt through that touch of Prabhupada, or through that blessing, Prabhupada has empowered him, where now Satswarup Maharaj can go and he can spread, and he can spread Krishna consciousness, and he can continue to serve, right? And very recently I heard, this Mataji who had come to Coimbatore, and she is Prabhupada's disciple, right? And Surabhi Mataji, she was Prabhu sort of introduced this Mataji to us. And this Mataji is 78 years old, lot of material difficulties, bodily health issues. But every day, even today, she wakes up at 1:32 a.m., completes her 16 rounds before Mangalarti and attends Mangalarti, right? And when she was asked how she's inspired to do all of this, she says that when she came from France to Amsterdam to take her initiation from Prabhupada, she was a very new devotee, didn't know anything. the devotees just said, today you are supposed to take initiation. For the first time she met Prabhupada, she received initiation and she sat there. She sat there after taking the beads and she was meditating. What is this? What is? She was just meditating with closed eyes, sitting there. Prabhupada looked at her and he said, don't worry, just follow 16 rounds and 4 regulative principles and you will go back to Godhead in this lifetime. And then that Mataji was so inspired that how did Prabhupada know what I was thinking? Because she was thinking that I have taken this big commitment, but will I be able to practice it all my life? I don't know how to do this. But Prabhupada realized her inner heart and he told her that do this, follow this for the rest of your life and you will succeed. And she was able to do that. And till date, she is doing that and inspiring so many temples, so many yatras, so many devotees, just by that momentary instruction. She never associated with Prabhupada after that, but she's giving Prabhupada's love to millions of devotees around the world, right? So in that way, we can also be carriers of Guru's mercy and Guru's mood and Guru's prema if you are just able to hold on to those instructions and follow it. But I'm sorry, Prabhu, I took so much time, and if you have anything to add, if you can.
No, Prabhu, it was perfect, I think. Thank you for clarifying this, because a lot of devotees always have this thing, and many times the devotees see some of the devotees having access to Guru very easily, and then they feel, oh, that person is having access, but I'm not having access. So okay, so this is all fake, and their faith is shaken. But you gave so many examples of like Survi Mataji and Prabhupada, that how can we remain attached to the lotus feet of spiritual master. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So I think since it's exceeding the time, I will close the session, and as expressing our gratitude to Shankapani Prabhu, let's chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times, hoping to hear him more and more in upcoming weeks. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,